Welcome, guys. Welcome to this DevOps. Well, this is not for DevOps interview only, but it is for uh, as a DevOps general discussion also. This is the many of the videos which I have been, preparing for DevOps integration, DevOps interviews. But this series of videos that you are going to see. They are all from the DevOps, AWS Devops. We'll do the integration patterns discussion. Then we'll do some sort of kinesis. Then we'll do some sort of kinesis along with MSK, and then we'll discuss the Confluent Kafka integration also. Because one thing which I would like to share with everyone, if you are preparing for a DevOps interview, don't stick to a traditional CI/CD pipeline. And it depends on if you're appearing for level one support, then definitely they will not ask you the detailed question. But majority of people who are looking at the video, they are all DevOps guys or experience in DevOps. So that matters a lot because you are looking for something which is uh, not a part of everything, right? So let's start with that. So the first question that normally, during the interview, they ask is, what do you mean by CI/CD pipeline? So the continuous integration part, when we talk about the continuous integrations, the flow is, we all know, flow is something like developer will push the code to the code repository. Then the testing team and build server check the code as soon as it possible. As soon as it published, and then the developer gets feedback about the test and check that have passed or failed. So it's simple as that. Developer will get the code, and they will push the code to the repository, and then our tools, testing and building tool, will check the code as soon as it published, and the developer gets a feedback, okay, about the test check failed or passed. Now, this is the continuous integration part. If it fails, then again it will go to the developer, and developer will again release it, then again test it, and again you know goes back to the developer until it is complete, means satisfactory. That's a continuous integration and continuous delivery. Well, continuous delivery ensures that the software can be released reliably whenever needed. Means the deployment happens often and are quick. So shift from one release every 3 months, it's 5 release a day. So that means that the automated deployment, that code deploy, Jenkins CDs, Splinker, etc. So this is the delivery, the continuous delivery. You are delivering it, whether it is getting deployed or not, we don't know. So here's the concept that makes it different. So continuous integration, we know that as soon as they push the code, build test, if successful, then they will get the notify. If it is failed, then again it will get notified. So that's a continuous integration. But continuous delivery means after deployment, ensure that the software can be released reliably. Means you are releasing the software and ensure the deployment happens. The real deployment of the server. Now, when you say continuous delivery, we are considering the deployment also, right? If you if you see the definition, then ensure the deployment happens often and or quick. So deployment is also there. Now, what is the difference between the continuous delivery and continuous deployment? So, delivery ability to make or ability to deploy often using automation. That's a part of a delivery. May involve a manual step to approve the deployment. So, delivery has some sort of manual process that might affect the continuous delivery schedule, where it's a manual process. Manually, you are approving it. So, deployment itself is still automated and repeated. And continuous deployment means full automation. Even the code change is deployed all the way to production. So no manual intervention. So continuous delivery manually and continuous deployment fully automatic. Now, when you come to the CI/CD pipeline, we know that code, build, test, deploy, and provision. These are the steps. For coding, we have AWS code commit. Your build 10 test, you have AWS code build. And when it comes to the deployment and provision, we have Elastic Beanstalk, we have uh, AWS code deploy, user manage EC2 instance, and the cloud formation. So you can ask me one question here: is if it is where is the code pipeline? We never see the pipeline thing. We have been discussing about the code pipeline, but code pipeline is something missing here. So we'll see that. So now code commit is what do you mean by code commit? Code commit is just a the storage like a Git. So code repository we call as a code commit. Now what do you mean by code build? See, code build is a build service. So it leverages the Docker and under the hood's reproducer build. So integration of KMS. So build is an integral part of a CI/CD pipeline. Build is a process that generates the software. It's software building, software development. So code build overview, the source code from code commit. Build infrastructure can be defined in the code. It's build spec YAML file that has to be there. An output log file that is there in AWS CloudWatch, in AWS Amazon S3, and the metrics of the monitoring is code build. So let's talk about code build, code deploy, code commit, and code pipeline. So every topic has some sort of detail. This is which you need to understand. So code deploy, code build. You know that code build, the source code build, um, metrics to monitor, use a CloudWatch event to detect failed input. So code build is basically the service that will read the build spec file. It's a YAML file, but it will read it what needs to be done on your code, right? Now, code deploy is something different. We want to deploy our application automatically to multiple EC2 instances. That's where the code deploy thing comes. So when it comes to this, the source code plus AppSec file, it could go to the GitHub, and then from the GitHub it will download the code plus AppSec file, and then deploy it. So EC2, any EC2 machine must be running on the code deploy agent or on-premise machine. The agent is continuously polling the AWS code deploy to work to do. The AWS code deploy sends AppSec file. Always remember, code deploy will send AppSec file, and code build will send which file? Any idea? Code builds will build spec file and deploy said AppSec file. And we can see the code deploys mainly when the build is successful, and then you can deploy into the this one. And here's a code pipeline, very important from the interview point of view. So it's a visual flow basically that will say source GitHub code commit, build code build, load testing third party, and deploy AWS code build, Beanstalk, CloudFormation, ECS, whatever, and wherever you want to deploy. So technological stack is already, we have already discussed this thing, but the key point or the interview tips is uh, when it comes to the CI/CD, the continuous delivery and continuous deployment. So continuous delivery, it's somewhere manual steps are there to approve it, but continuous deployment is fully automatic. So now when it comes to the interview question, let's talk about the interview question. What we need to prepare when you go for an interview question. So one complete end-to-end, the code from Node.js or code from Java or code from anywhere, that code, the first thing is to build and then deploy, build and deploy, code build, code commit, code build, code deploy, and the code pipeline. So if once you're done with these kind of a lab for 2-3 times, then you can create your own story. The key thing to crack the interview is create your own story. Don't copy anyone's. Okay, guys. So code pipeline. So code pipeline is source. If you see the source one, it is a very important thing. The source is your code commit, or or your GitHub. So once you're done with the build, then we have an artifact. That artifact, well, you want to keep the artifact in S3 bucket, and then the same artifact will go for a deploy. So artifacts are parsed, stored at the Amazon S3 and passed to the next one. So each pipeline stage can create artifacts. Artifacts, what do you mean by artifact? Artifact is the output of the build, right? And after the build, we do the testing, and then after testing, we do the deploy. So there is a continuous delivery and the continuous deployment. When we talk about the deployment, means everything is automatic. Continuous delivery means you need to have a manual touch over there, right? So that's it for this side. In the next lecture, tomorrow we will discuss more about Jenkins on AWS, and we will do the lab also. Okay, guys, thank you. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe it. We'll have a lot of fun related to AWS Devops and Azure Devops also. But if you really want to crack the interview, you have to go for minimum 3 to 4 trainings, guys. Till then, happy learning.